I think we need the sandbag. I don't think you can get across these big planks without the sandbags. Either that or we have to free throw a bottle. Twice. 3 times. This all sucks. This all sucks. I'll say it's just like the brick's like either going in the water or I don't know. I'm just like wasting the brick at the beginning. Like the fucking sand doesn't pour properly, dude. Oh god. That was the worst fucking ending to this game, dude. like they put it on, like they do what other survival games do, right? They obviously program it so it constantly hovers around you. Lack of pooping vexes me. Come back in 2 weeks. There will be plenty of poop then. Brother.
No!
He didn't even purr. He just like ran for me that time. He was across the room there, distracted. Throwing that second bottle there wouldn't have done anything. Brother. Ah, this is so stupid. What is even the point of the sand? It literally just doesn't work on those ramps at all. It just doesn't, like, apply on an angle, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's just fuck the sand. God, do we win? I beg. Was it Laura? It's probably Laura up there. Yeah, I guess it was Laura up there. What? How they can't swim? What if you just, like, don't press the button? Looking water.
Hello? Hello? Is someone there?
We're here.
Get on the boat and escape. Oh my god, it's 2 a.m. Play the game on medium or higher on hard difficulty. On easy. There's not even a survivor achievement. Alright. I feel like there should be music playing. Oh, I guess that's kind of the point. That was a game. That wasn't bad. It was always a little frustrating at the end. So I think it started fun and intense, but then it became very formulaic and samey fairly quick. And I think the game went on like 2 major chapters too long. I know they tried to throw like a couple curveballs in there with they tried to like throw some curveballs in there with, like, you know, again, now they make this tinnitus sound, so you have to stand still, and here's the sandbag as a new mechanic, and early on here's like bottles and bricks and stuff like that. Don't tell them to keep adding points while I'm offline. What did we do for the Christmas one? But yeah, like, it was, you know, but ultimately it was the same thing every time. It was like, there's like 2 major sequences every time, right? We didn't for Christmas, then nah. There's 2 major sequences, right? There is so many pets. There's no monster, but you just have to stay below the volume threshold. And that was like intense at the start. But then you just realize that monsters don't appear here at all unless you go over the threshold and then you die, right? And then number 2 is there's a monster and it roams the area, and you have to. The sound threshold was like weirdly a little more forgiving in that one, you know, and like avoid running into it. And then just like pretty much every monster survival horror game that I've played and that I've seen, you know, they obviously program it so that the monster's always kind of hovering around you, because then the game would be too easy if like the monster could just patrol the other side of the area without any threat to you. It was just like, obviously that last level was really egregious about it. Like, it was really annoying because the level itself was already like very linear, and to have it like patrol right next to you the entire time with those planks that just innate, like I couldn't walk any slower across those planks, and you can't put sand on them, obviously, whether intended or not. So like, you just make a shit ton of noise on them, and the monster's always 20 meters away from you. So it just kind of runs over to you. So it got a little frustrating, and by that point, you'd done the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again a million times. I just kind of just like, oh man, let's just be done with this, man. Like, I just want to be done with this at this point. You know what I mean? The story was okay. The story was fine. It was, horror style. The voice acting I thought was good. The sound design was very good. It better have been in this game, right? The sound design was fine. The graphics were okay. Not the best ever, but we were also running on high instead of all ultra. So the game obviously had a bit of some optimization issues. But yeah, like I said, the gameplay like started pretty promising and then just never really developed beyond. It was just the same thing over. It was just monster sequences, non-monster sequences. That's it. Every time. The tinnitus sound from an aesthetics perspective, probably not ideal. It didn't bother me as much as it like literally bothered other people's ears, but it was just annoying because there were some times when it would just spam it like 5-6 times in a row, right? And you're like, okay, dude. And then you can't do anything either. You just literally have to sit there and wait for it to finish. Also, the aesthetic of like needing an inhaler was okay, but it got really like, it got so bad to the point that I literally couldn't, like, I had to use them sometimes when there's no monster even around because I just couldn't see where I was going, like, at all. There's a couple of like, it was definitely like a lot of intense moments, especially in the fucking pump. God, the pump house was the worst, man. But yeah, game went on a little too long, and yeah, that's overall, I don't know, man. 6.5, 7 out of 10. It had some endearing things, right? But like, I think we were all mostly in the same boat by the end of it. Whoever's been watching the entire playthrough. Obviously, some people popped in. They're like, "Oh, it's like, oh shit, it's intense. Like, it's one of those games you can't talk into the mic, blah blah blah." But I think anybody who was here for at least the majority of the playthrough, I think by the end of it, we were all kind of like, "Oh my god, another level, dude. Oh my, yeah, okay. Now you got to turn the water on. Now there's a fire. Now you're just like, just fucking end it, dude. Come on." I thought when we got to the boatyard, that was gonna be it, and then like the entire extra level of the fucking firehouse was like unnecessary in my opinion. As a game, too limited. I mean, they could have done so much more. Like, it's also like you literally only ever face the monster once at a time. Whenever you died to noise, literally no matter where you were, you got killed. Even if you're in like a small room, the monster just somehow appeared behind you. It was like weird. 6 out of 10. Yeah, maybe 7's a little high. I'm probably like 6.5. I'll dock it half from what I was thinking. The more I'm like kind of giving feedback about it. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't terrible. It was a combination of too samey and took too long. Like the game started, really like intense in the house. I'm like, oh shit, you gotta be quiet. It took us so long to do the Ram Ranch cabin at the beginning, and then by the end of it, I mean, probably like half the reasons I died on the very last level, I was impatient, right? Like you die, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, let's just go. Like I'm trying to speed run this. And there's like a little inconsistent when you die and when you wouldn't, but yeah. It was suspenseful at the beginning, but then it just kind of like sat at that level of suspense, which is okay to a certain extent, but then you got to vary it up a bit, and I don't feel like the first time we saw 2 of them, I was like, oh shit, man, this is going to be crazy, right? Like before the pump house, but I think it was just like there for aesthetic purposes. It don't actually did anything, the second one. Last 3 chapters, yeah, like I said, it just dragged on too long. They could have summarized the story by taking out probably like 2 or 3 chapters towards the middle area. Because you didn't like even like after between your dad dying and finding Laura again, it was just like a bit of a slog. It definitely slogged on a bit. Like, there was no major story points at that point. You were just kind of reading about other survivors through a few notes. You had, like, an emo time when, like, yeah, you cried, and, like, that was about it, right? Everything, in my opinion, up to and including the dad dying was actually pretty good, right? It was ramping. They're still throwing new stuff at you. There were some new elements. It was still like fresh, like new enough and fresh enough that you're still kind of intense and, you know. But then after there was a bit of a downhill, for me, man. Oh, then I started in the game after the dad was killed. Dilf.